Ooh, we got wine today. Hi, I'm Rena with BeARealBeauty.com, and we are here to talk about how to get through the holiday season without losing your mind. Yesterday I talked to you guys a little bit about the Savor and Hustle Challenge that we've done for this is our 5th year. Last year we had over 100 families that participated with us, and this year we're going to do it a little bit less formally since I am going through a lot of transition. We're going to do it in these Facebook Lives and some events and stuff like that. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is how to make sure that you are balancing through the holidays both professionally and personally. Because I live in Florida, and so maybe it's unique to us that this happens twice a year, but it feels like 2 times a year people really start to just peter out professionally. They kind of give up over this, and I don't even know if it's give up or it's just that they're tired and they decide to take, a mental vacation, but they take it for about 6 weeks. And this happens from mid-June until early August here in Florida when it's so hot that our brains are literally frying in our head. And it happens from early November through the end of December during the holiday season, where we tend to get so distracted with things that are going on for Christmas and holidays and families and stuff like that, that we kind of default away from our professional lives. And that's one of the reasons why this 100-day Savor and Hustle Challenge came about. It's one of the reasons why I have spent the last 100 days of the year doing this type of thing for the last several years, is because we really need that, we need to continue that push through the end of the year. This really can be a magical time, but it's only magical if we do the work. So let's talk pre-Thanksgiving and what you can do before things really start to get crazy to make sure that you get done what you want to get done. First of all, this week tends to be full of promise for most of us. Thanksgiving is generally less stressful, not for everyone, but it's generally less stressful than Christmas because there's not the huge amount of buying around gifts and things like that get involved with it. And so we're still thinking the holidays are going to be really magical, they're going to be really exciting, and everything that's in the future seems fun, right? It's not until we have to actually deal with it that it becomes a little less fun. So right now, where you're still in that positive, magical mindset, this is the time to sit down and figure out what it is that you actually want out of your holiday season. And it's kind of like we've talked about for the last 60 days about planning and preparation. The same thing applies when you're getting ready for a big bunch of crazy time like the holidays are. So first thing I want you to do is maybe open a bottle of wine and sit down with your partner. So if you're in a committed relationship, whether you're married, living with someone, have a steady boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, now is the time to sit down with them and set expectations about what the holidays are going to look like. This is something that Craig and I do every year. We sit down and we talk about what our budget is, who we're going to see, what family we're going to visit, where the kids are going to be, stuff like that. So we're both going as a partnership into this season with the same set of expectations, because there's nothing harder as a woman than to feel like you're having everything poured on you because the other person that's supposed to be your partner doesn't have the same expectations that you do. So the first thing I want you to do this week before Thanksgiving is sit down with your partner, talk about those expectations. If you have a crazy schedule during the holidays, it's a good time to take out an actual calendar and figure out certain things like whose Christmas party is when do the kids have recitals, when do we have to visit different family members, are there specific events that we have to be at? Because a lot of stress comes up when we end up having to be in 50 different places on one day that we didn't plan for. And when you overlap school calendars with work, social events, with personal events, with family, it can get really crazy. So I highly recommend pulling out a calendar and figuring out what's as many of those days as you can are now. Most schools and larger companies are going to be releasing those dates before Thanksgiving. If you work for a smaller company, you might have to wait a little while. But once you've done that, sat down with your partner and figured that out, I want you to start making your shopping list. It's a really good idea to go into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday, all the crazy spending stuff with your concrete Christmas shopping list already figured out. You don't have to know what you're going to buy, but you should have an idea of who you need to buy for and an approximation of what your budget for that person is. And here's why. Americans go into tons and tons of unnecessary debt over the holiday season. And part of it is because we're compensating for different feelings of neglect or whatever, but part of it is because we're just not organized about how much we're spending. So if you sit down and you make that list now, you're much more likely to stick to that budget. And to give you an idea, now to some of you this may seem like a huge amount of money, and to some of you, but I think to most of you this is actually going to sound pretty small. To give you an idea of how this works, last year we actually saved and decided as a family that we were only going to spend $1,500 on the entire Christmas season. So that included Thanksgiving and alcohol and gifts and things like that. And when you really sat down and you start to add all those numbers up, that means you've got to be on a pretty tight budget. And you think, oh, well, a budget for Christmas, that's not any fun. But actually, it's positive constraints, because we went into the holiday season with that amount of cash on hand, knowing that this was the constraint that we had, and it made us more creative. It made me more relaxed because I didn't have to worry about whether I wasn't doing enough or where I should be spending, where I shouldn't be spending. And it helped us to know that when we came out of the holidays, we weren't going to be in debt because of them. Because the worst thing you can do for your family the whole rest of the year is to put your family in debt for one day. Because I don't care how shiny and fun a new object is, come January 2nd, it's gonna feel like crap that you have a credit card bill due for those shiny objects. Especially if any of them are not even being played with or paid attention to by January 1st. So I encourage you to think twice about doing that, and making your shopping list in advance will help. It also allows you to know if maybe you need to do something to make a little bit of extra money for the holidays. You guys know that I'm going through some big transitions right now, and so I'm trying to do a lot of really hardcore mental stuff. Normally over the holidays, I'll take on an extra client or something like that to add to our holiday budget. And this year I decided that I didn't want to do anything that was a really stronger mentally, anything that I had to put more mental effort into. So I am doing some shopping, for some personal shopping for a grocery shopping company to make some extra money for the holidays. It's not something that has anything to do with what I normally do for a living. It's not something that requires any mental energy from me. It's just a way to make a few extra bucks during the holiday season. And I'm doing that because I know I'm in a point of transition and we don't want to go into debt. So the only way you know to do that is to sit down this week before you get into the thick of things and plan for it. So you guys know that we have an encore day, we have an encore sprint day coming up on November 29th. That's one of the things you really want to plan for post Thanksgiving. It's another big professional push to make sure that you are achieving those big 100-day goals. Because next week, for most of us, is kind of a crapshoot, right? You get into Thanksgiving, and that whole week of Thanksgiving is usually lost when it comes to your professional work. You're planning for the meal, you're planning for the family, you're looking forward to being off, you're looking forward to the long weekend. So get real with yourself now that you're probably going to lose most of next week professionally. Put that Tuesday, November 29th, sprint day on your calendar. RSVP, I'll put the link in the show notes after I'm done here. RSVP, put that sprint day in your calendar and figure out what you're going to get done on that day. And then you can go into next week totally relaxed, because you are going to sit down before the Thanksgiving week starts with your sweetheart, your partner, your significant other, and you're going to sit down and you're going to decide what your expectations are for the holiday. You're going to, as much as possible, put your holiday calendar together. You're going to make a shopping list and set a budget for the holidays. And you're going to put that sprint day on your calendar and know that you're going to give yourself a break next week during the Thanksgiving week, because you're going to do something huge and awesome and amazing on Tuesday the 29th. And those things together will allow you to go into Thanksgiving hopefully without much stress. Now, if you're stressing out about the food, don't worry, because we'll be back tomorrow to talk actual prep for hosting Thanksgiving or being an awesome guest at Thanksgiving, what you need to do with shopping before Saturday, and how to make sure that your family doesn't gain 45 pounds in one day. I'm Rena with BeARealBeauty.com, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.